A warm welcome and thank you for attending today's webinar, introducing the Nauru Citizenship Program, which is the latest bespoke citizenship by investment solution offered through Henley & Partners. My name is Ian Horsburgh, and I'm a Director of Private Clients at Henley & Partners based in Singapore. And joining me today is my colleague Issa Seo, from the Nauru Program Office. Issa has represented numerous large multinational companies, financial institutions, governments, and even the United Nations. So quite the impressive CV.
Thank you.
Now,
thanks, Ian.
Before we move on to the Nauru Citizenship Program, let me first provide an overview of Henley & Partners and the investment migration industry, and then we'll have Issa, obviously introduce himself and take you through the program in detail. Okay, so Henley & Partners, we are the global leader in the investment migration industry. We advise global clients on citizenship and residence on the back of investment. So inbound investment in exchange for citizenship or residence. We also guide clients on country real estate, education options, and provide a concierge service for clients on the ground. Now, there's two sides of our business. The first side is private client advisory, the side I'm on. The other side is government advisory. Okay, so advising governments on designing, implementing, and marketing investment migration mandates in order to attract foreign direct investment. With their help, countries have raised over $12 billion for governments such as the UK, Switzerland, and regionally for me, Thailand, just to name a few. Okay, so we have here a map of our global presence. The idea being that for the majority of our programs, we have feet on the ground, allowing us to control the process throughout. In the last couple of years, we've opened offices throughout the United States, with the market growing from an outbound point of view, which I'm sure many can understand, but also an inbound point of view. Inbound and outbound. Our service to our clients is that we take a view on the available programs around the world, so the investment migration universe, and then curate a short list which passes our own checks and balances, and that we are comfortable are as risk-free as possible for our clients. Currently, that's around 36 countries we represent with almost 50 different programs. Okay, so here's how Henley & Partners fits into the wealth planning ecosystem for high net worth clients. We're just a piece of the puzzle. You know, I come in, we sit roundtable as a client advisor for private clients with a wealth management team, a private banker or wealth manager, taxation specialist, and a trust and estates planning expert. And the idea being to build a robust and globally cohesive wealth management plan for our clients. Okay, now short and sweet for me. You'll have my details at the end if you wanted to explore other options or to arrange a call with Issa. Please do leave any comments in the comments box, and we'll get to them at the end of the presentation during our Q&A session. Now, without further ado, introducing Issa Seo from the Nauru Program Office to introduce Henley & Partners' latest citizenship by investment solution. Okay.
Thank you, Ian. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much, and always a pleasure to be online with you. It's been a wonderful trip. Now, fantastic road also. Again, we did a launch in December. Yes, December in Singapore. Actually, there was another launch in Azerbaijan in November, and then a launch in December in Singapore, which was very successful. We've been getting the gears rolling. We've been getting agents through the doors, and there's a lot of interest in our program. What I guess I'm going to do is I'm going to cover the presentation, some of the facts, the highlights of the program. I work in a New Zealand office. I'm the director for compliance, and I've been doing this for some time. And I'm really privileged to bring this program to you and to the audience out there because I feel that this program has a lot to do with sustainable development. It's got a lot to do with climate change and some of the really touchy issues that are happening to the Pacific Islands today. And I believe that this is a pretty innovative opportunity to get out there and to support a program that wants to rebuild and wants to help its nation and its people, and at the same time, really, formalize or get a second passport benefit for the family. Actually, it's a really useful passport. You can travel to 89 countries visa free, including Hong Kong, UAE, Singapore, UK. Um, it's fairly low cost. I mean, this program is probably half the price of a typical Caribbean program. So we are already getting lots of interest through the doors. I think that this will be a pretty fast, hopefully a faster program too. We are aiming to have 3 to 4 months time frame for review of applications. And it's less restrictive. People can stay in their countries. They don't have to travel to Nauru in order to apply, and everything goes through agents, right? Everything will go through Handy, and the process will be a little bit of hand-holding from the program office. I think the idea is to make it win-win for everybody. So let me, if it's all right, let me go to my presentation document. Can you see my screen? Not yet. Oh, nice.
I can, yeah.
You can see my screen, the presentation screen?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent.
That's what matters most.
Wonderful. Okay. So actually, Nauru is a pretty place. It's a beautiful country in the Pacific. It's a really small country. It's the smallest independent republic and the third smallest country in the world. Approximately 12,000 people live there, but all kinds of people live there. I mean, we're talking about different ethnic groups. There's also obviously the main ethnic group, the main Nauruan people, but then there's the Chinese, there's the Europeans, there are some travelers. Location is Central Pacific, northeast of Australia. It has some ties with Australia, some pretty close ties with Australia using the Australian dollar. The temperature is pretty tropical, very warm, consistent with temperatures all year round, consistent temperatures, and people speak Nauruan and English. So, see, Nauru was actually a fairly rich country around 30 years ago. They had a lot of phosphate, and they did phosphate mining for the country. But right now, it's sort of coming to the end of that mining process, and I think that, very frankly, I think they were sort of running out of natural resources and looking elsewhere and trying to figure out how they can deal with some of these climate change issues that are affecting all of us in the Pacific. So some of the projects that they are looking at would be sustainable fishing. There's a kind of an area within the Nauruan island that people are being threatened with, really high potential waves and sea levels. So they are, by building resources, they are trying to move some of these villages further up into the mainland. And they're also, fairly active in the research and development world. They're thinking about, how to manage sustainable development projects, how to manage new and interesting ways to deal with climate change. So our program office, I'm based in New Zealand, and we have a team and a growing team actually in New Zealand. We have the applications team, which will work with the agents that are, obviously that when you're sending your applications through, we have an applications team that will help to ensure that all the documentation is correct. Compliance team, which is my team, we will require we'll handhold the compliance process, and I'll speak a little bit more about that later on. We also have obviously the finance teams, the management teams. Our CEO sits in the New Zealand office, and we want to grow. We are at the phase of growing out the New Zealand office. We're getting a lot of attention, a lot of interest. So this is the plan. Um, these are some of the Nauruan sites. It's a pretty place, I understand. There are some remaining old industrial sort of mining ports and things, but they are cleaning up right now. And for most part, it's still a tropical island, and my understanding is it makes a great dive. Like people really, really enjoy their dives out there because the water is so crystal clear. You go into the water, you know, it's a really wonderful dive. That's my understanding from professionals in the field. So, as mentioned, the applicant will be contributing directly to the Nauruan funds, rather the Nauruan government. We aim to have a streamlined applications process. We want it done in 3 to 4 months. And the Nauruan passport is a great passport to have with access to many different countries. While the applicant is holding a Nauruan passport, obviously there will be much more opportunities to communicate, to do business, to look at investment opportunities in the Pacific. So, key benefits. It's a politically neutral alternative passport to travel on. I think these days with all the global wars that are happening with people wanting to have a secondary or sort of security insurance in terms of their ability to move around. Also, like I mentioned, you will have your visa-free access to many countries. There are other flexibilities with this program. You can apply with your dependents, you can apply with your siblings, with your brothers and sisters, and that opens the opportunity for your whole family. You can apply for your parents. It's a matter of adding just a minor cost to the main application. So there's lots of flexibility. We handle everything from the office in New Zealand. The family doesn't have to travel all the way to Nauru to do the application. Yeah, there's no minimum stay. You're not required to give up your main citizenship. You can have dual citizenship. That's not an issue. Okay, as mentioned earlier, the bulk of the contribution goes to the government, where it will use those funds for climate change action. Now, the government has a website that basically publishes the status of these projects, and if you need some of those references, feel free to get in touch. As mentioned, Nauru is actually a very pretty country. So, how to apply? Engage your licensed agent to assess your eligibility. They will basically have a look at your application and say, well, this is something you can do. There are some maybe more complex ones, like if you the complex ones might be relating to restricted countries or persons without documents. So it's best to check in with the agent. Second stage is to compile the necessary documentation. I mean, that's obviously important in any of these sorts of programs. We will need to have your marriage certificates. We want to have your passports, your national ID, your utility bills, things that basically describe who you are. But these documents need to be certified, notarized. The traditional sort of way is to manage these things from a legalization or like authentication perspective, but here we are accepting notary, and we will do the due diligence checks over them so that we want to do this faster and allow allow faster processing and save you the hassle. So number 3, submit your application to a licensed agent, undergo the due diligence checks, and those checks we will be looking at from a four-tier perspective. The first tier is really going through the basic checks through systems, through electronic databases. The second tier is looking at applications through some of the media outlets, social media outlets and things, the things that might, publish if you have a criminal record. We will also be sending the application to the government. The government does their own checks, through the Pacific channels. And as a last step, we will also send the application through due diligence agencies that will help to authenticate documents, not authenticate, but really to verify documents and to verify who you say you are. So at the end of the process, you will receive an approval and you make a contribution to the government. The office will organize the passports and all the other things surrounding your application. Now we have a lot of expertise in this that we have learned. Also, we have the help of Henley that was there and instrumental when we started off, and we're really squeezing as much of that knowledge and creating a brand new, interesting, and hopefully efficient program. As mentioned, the costs are relatively low compared to the other programs, 105,000, 110,000. So the question is, how many applicants will you be having? These are not added figures. We're talking about 110, and then if you have somebody, if you have an extra member of the family, you'll be 115,000. So actually the amounts are not that great, and for somebody to have a secondary passport for everybody in the family, it seems a really competitive program. I guess to be eligible, these are pretty standard requirements. You need to obviously be 18 years old, demonstrate good character. There are specific detailed requirements about the criminal record matters. We can advise you about that, but essentially, applicants should not have criminal records or serious criminal records. We will be asking for disclosures and we'll be doing the checks. I mean, I think it's important that we protect the investment of everybody and protect the passports, and that's the reason why we will be doing these checks. Obviously, have the financial means to meet the required contribution. There are other minor things like restricted countries and there are some special cases. Yeah, special cases if you are stateless, if you lacking specific documents, it may be things that you want to speak to us directly before you apply and go through the agents to do that. A valid police clearance certificate is pretty normal and expected. Persons should demonstrate or should be type of persons with good character that do not pose threat to national security. They don't involve with weapons, exports and things of those sort. So we will be asking those questions in the forms. That's a beautiful picture of Nauru. I mentioned, I spoke a little bit about the due diligence process. I think that there's not much to be worried about if obviously if you don't have a criminal record, it's just a matter of conducting the procedure. There will be an interview, and the interview will basically be asking questions about sources of funds and sources of wealth, essentially to ensure that the funds are from legal sources and that they don't come from international sort of criminal funds. Okay, so how to be a licensed agent? We obviously have a specific form for it. Go onto our website, the Nauru website, ecrcp.gov.nr, and get in touch with us. We will send you the form. Fill up the form, get your company documents together to us, or if you're applying for it as an individual, you can do that. You just, as an individual, you're required to have your police records. Yeah, submit the form, and we will come back to you in 2 weeks, hopefully, in 1 week. Actually, the idea is to get back to you by 1 week. And then once that's done, persons can be marketing the program out there using the detailed information we have on the websites, on our handbooks, and also on our marketing materials, from our marketing materials. Thank you very much. I hope that was useful. I leave it to Ian to take this to the next portion of the presentation.
Thank you, Asa. If you could just unshare your slides.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so here we go on to the questions and answers session. Hopefully, I think this has answered most of the questions that have been put forward. Here's a good one. Which nationalities are prevailing from the current program investors that you've seen so far?
Oh, which nationalities? Oh, we've got a range of interested. Can you hear me? We've got a range of interested parties. I mean, we haven't got that down to a science yet, but I am getting interest from Arab countries. I am getting interest. This is Asian interest, presuming agents are also representing their communities. Interest from China. I am getting some interest from the US. I'm getting some more interest from, let me see. Yeah, these are the three main ones so far. But also Southeast Asia. There are some countries in Southeast Asia. People want to, I suppose they just want to have the convenience of having a second passport.
And then you mentioned dependency earlier on. Perhaps you could just reinforce the parameters there, because there's a few questions that I see. Is it financial dependency or physical dependency? And does that mean that you mentioned the age of 16 earlier on? Does that mean that children over 16 cannot be included in the application? If you could run through the dependency requirements again, that would be.
Yeah, can. Yeah, really good points. So for children above 16, I guess you need to provide information or evidence that they're still dependent on the applicant. They don't have their own immediate sources. That will be important. But I mean, for siblings and stuff, we do ask for information on them before they apply. If it was a parent, they need to be above 55 years old. And I guess that's the main requirement. But in general, yes, the applicant is the main source of income. The rest for dependents, for children and stuff, the idea is that the children are still dependent on parent.
Okay, understood. So we talked about prevailing nationalities before, but what are the restricted nationalities for the program?
Right. So the restricted nationalities, I don't want to use the word restricted. I suppose it would be the countries that we will not be taking. Would be Afghanistan, Belarus, Iran, Myanmar, North Korea, and Russia, Sudan, Yemen. In some exceptional cases, if you didn't really live there all your life, if you had if you can't really go back there to give up your, Russian passport, whatever it is, or write into us and let us know so that we can review those cases. But that would be very limited cases. It would be 2 or 3 countries. Let me check. These would be, I think Sudan, Yemen, and one more. Anyway, the point is, if you haven't lived in these countries for a long time and you're kind of sort of stuck with this other citizenship from there, write into us and we will consider that on a case-by-case basis.
Okay. And there's a question here on access to the Schengen. I believe that's not the case currently.
No, that's not the case. So it's just a normal application for visa for these countries.
Okay, but there's no Schengen access provided for Nauruan citizens. Okay.
No.
Okay, and police clearance certificates. Can you just go over the requirement there? Is it the country of origin, or
Yes.
what about
Yeah.
countries resident of late?
Oh, yes, yes. So generally, yes, you need to give police certificates for the countries that you lived for a certain amount of time that you've been there. So I think it's the past 10 years of your life. So the countries that you've lived in the past 10 years to get police certificates. We will help to make that easier. We have sort of draft documents that you can use or agents can develop these things from so that you can provide an explanation to the police that you need this for potential visa and visa applications.
Okay. Can cryptocurrency be used throughout the process for payment of the donation, for example?
Yes, they can. And I haven't gotten a crypto application yet for any payments. But yeah, happy to look at that. We will still require the same information about where the funds are from and whether the funds comes from the applicant. And we will find other ways to get that information, probably from your registration from your crypto exchange, crypto account. And yes, we accept.
Okay. And then future generations. If the main applicant or a single applicant gets married later on, can they add the spouse to? Is their spouse eligible for citizenship?
Yeah, so applicants through this program can come back to us after the process. If you have another child, then you can come back to us through the office to apply for your new child to get a status. It's not an immediate thing. It's not a sort of hereditary sort of transferred passport. There will be a minimal application fee to add the additional children into the program. But yes, that's possible through our office.
Okay. Okay. And are there any post-citizenship documents that can be applied for, like a residence card or a tax identification number?
Not that I know of. I mean, I can find out a bit more about this, but you will have whatever that the Nauruan people have.
Okay, understood. Understood. And I think the final question here, are the passports sent directly to the applicants, or do they have to visit Nauru? You mentioned there's no minimum requirement, but
there's no need for travel. The program office in New Zealand will manage that, and we'll send that over to the agent who will distribute to the applicant.
okay. Fantastic, fantastic. Well, what I'll do is I'll move on to the final slide here. Here are my details. If you take a screenshot of that, obviously the QR code leads you to the Henley & Partners website, where there's detail on the other programs that we offer. Please reach out to me directly if you would like a chat with myself or Isa. And for those whose questions weren't answered, we will follow up directly to ensure that there's absolute clarity on your questions. Anything else from your side, Isa?
No, I'm okay. Thank you. Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be online with you. It's all cool. And I appreciate and I wish everybody good luck and do come to us.
Perfect. Thank you. Well, thanks again, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us today. Please don't hesitate to reach out. We remain at your disposal, as they say. Take care. Have a great day or evening wherever you are in the world, and thank you.
Thanks.